Folks, welcome to an all new episode of So Bad It's Good. This is your pal Ryan, and this is your Wednesday episode. You have made it halfway through the week. You have officially done something with the week, and that is just making it halfway through. How are you guys? Are you good? I hope you're good. 2 more days until the sweet weekend. And listen, I was going to release an episode. I did a fantastic interview today with a fellow podcaster, Emma Guns. We had the most amazing conversation, and you'll get to hear that I think on maybe Thursday or another day, because we had multiple breaking news stories. Now it would be so easy for me just to release this episode, but then I would feel like I'm cheating you out of something and not talking about this breaking news. And of course, I am talking about. Hold on to your coal mining asses, you guys. This is this is going to be tough, and it's going to be hard to believe for some of you guys. Is that Brittany Cartwright of Vanderpump Rules and the Valley fame has filed for divorce from Jax Taylor. That's right, folks. It is the end of the road for Brittany and Jax and their 8+ year relationship. They have a beautiful son, Cruz. And, I've been going back and forth on this all day because on one hand, it's surprising in the sense that I didn't think Brittany would ever pull the trigger. So I'm kind of proud of Brittany in some ways, somebody that I don't really know, but I'm kind of proud of her because that's a really hard decision. And I'm going to try. I mean, this is silly in some ways in terms of me playing the music, but listen, when anybody gets divorced or separated, there is a sadness there. But now Jax, he's such a character that he makes it so hard to sympathize and empathize with him, right? Because we've seen him 10+ seasons of reality television where he's made up the weirdest lies, he's cheated, he's done all of the things repeatedly, time and time again. And I feel like I say the same thing all the time, but it is worth repeating, is that I said right when before the Valley was going to come out, I think I was talking to Nomi Fry on Tuesday's episode about this, is that he was going to go on reality television and just throw this relationship away, because reality television usually doesn't make relationships stronger. Have you thought about that? In fact, I now call this the Vanderpump curse. The Kardashian curse we think exists, right? Because a lot of the men that the Kardashian women have been involved with have not had a lot of good things happen to them after those relationships. And they call it the Kardashian curse, whether it be basketball players, football players, Kanye West. I mean, you can just go down the list. Caitlyn Jenner, the whole thing. But I think there's a Vanderpump curse as well, because how many actual relationships have worked or survived after being on Vanderpump Rules? The only person you could actually make an argument for is Stassi and Bo. But I don't even count them because they escaped reality television. I mean, she got fired, but at the same time, she was off reality TV. One would imagine if they had continued their relationship on reality TV, it would have potentially caused some sort of issue at some point. Reality show fame, it seems like it corrupts, and especially for the men. Like us men, we suck in so many ways. And if you're a man listening, sorry, but I mean, come on, you got to agree with me a little bit here. But that's the thing, is that you're back on TV, but it just leads to all of this bullshit. It exacerbates everything. So let's go through the TMZ article that was released today and go through some of the pertinent information, and then we'll do some spec. So our friends at TMZ, I believe, broke this news at 11:26 a.m. today. What is this? August? What are we? It is August 27th in the year of our Lord 2024. It says Brittany Cartwright is dropping the curtain on her marriage. She just filed to divorce Jax Taylor. The star beelined it to court Tuesday and filed divorce documents after 5 years of marriage. So, by the way, the other half of this podcast, we're going to be talking about the Tom Girardi verdict, which potentially was at the same courthouse. I mean, it's the circle of life. Tom Girardi gets charged and Brittany files for a divorce and starts a new life. So she filed these divorce documents after 5 years of marriage. Of course, their relationship lasted much longer, as we saw on Vanderpump Rules. Brittany filed this under irreconcilable differences as the reason for the split. The couple previously announced their separation in February. That's when it kind of got released to all of us. But Brittany lists the date of separation as January 24th, 2024. So does anybody know what we were doing in January of 2024? It seems so long ago. The only thing I can think of is to like pull up my photos from that day and see if that helps jog my memory on where we were. My photo stream, as you can guess, on my iPhone is just a mess of memes, and I'll take the same photo again and like I have 70 pictures of Scheana's It's All Happening because I never save it to any place. So I keep using it as a meme through the years. And then I'll keep downloading a new one because I don't want to go and search. And then I remember do you remember this a couple years ago? It was like Thanksgiving and my phone memory was like completely shot. So I was having to delete all of these photos to get like more memory back. And I had to delete so many It's All Happening photos. Okay. So January 20, by the way, what I just said is pretty sad. January 24th, 2024. Let's see what we got here, and that'll help me remember the day. Okay, let's see. I sorry. Gosh, it doesn't look. This is so boring. I just had to pause the podcast because it really made me sad. My photo roll, like my camera roll, it has nothing personal except for like one thing, and it's all just things that I found funny. Like January 24th, I'll get to in a second. It didn't really have much, but January 23rd, I was like, what January 23rd? And I've taken a screenshot of a Daily Mail article that the headline is disgruntled passenger is removed for farting excessively on American Airlines flight from Phoenix to Austin. So that's what the 23rd, that's what was going on for that. And then we were in the thick of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City finale discussion because everybody was wondering if Monica was going to come back or not. And there were all of these interviews at the time in regards to Monica not being able to come back. And this was also around the reunion time that Heather Gay finally admitted, I guess, some aspect of the story behind her black eye and that Jen Shaw was involved, which was very confusing. But this was January, so there wasn't really, and I believe we had Oscar or Golden Globe nominations because I made a meme that says, how did Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig not get Best Actor and Best Director nominations for Barbie? So I was obviously infuriated by that. So that was the 23rd for me. It didn't really, thought there would be something Vanderpump in here and there wasn't. And then the 24th, let's see, the 24th, I was on Jeff Lewis live on Sirius. And that's all I have in the 24th. And they announced the Married to Medicine reunion seating chart, according to my photos. This is so flippin' sad. You know what? Let's tempt fate and go with the 25th and see if we have anything here Vanderpump related. I have an Alf meme. I have Anne-Marie Wiley. I made a one and done meme, and she had not been a one and done person yet, but I predicted that. And we had news that the Southern Charm ratings were in, and it was the most watched season in 4 years with an average of 2.1 million viewers. I thought that I needed to save in my camera roll for some reason, but I don't know the significance of January 24th between Jax and Brittany. So, wow, that was a dead end. This is what investigation journalism is about, folks. They don't tell you about all the dead ends you go through. So Brittany is seeking primary legal and physical custody of their 3-year-old son, Cruz, but is open to visitation for Jax. That's very big of her. Brittany also wants to block the ability of the court to award spousal support to either of them, which I found really interesting. Brittany's divorce filing comes after Jax left a treatment center and returned to work on the new Bravo reality show, The Valley. Sorry, I just sneezed. Bless me. Oh my God, I'm a mess. So this was the news we got from TMZ. The real interesting part here is Brittany also wants to block the ability of the court to award spousal support to either of them. And I think that's a real interesting caveat, which is like, girl, keep your money good, because I know Brittany's, has money coming in, but I would imagine, I know, like I would imagine Jax has money coming in as well. And you would think, I mean, it doesn't say anything about child support. So hopefully he would still be responsible for some sort of child support. But I think that's a very interesting thing about spousal support, that she doesn't want it and she doesn't want to give any to him. So there's got to be some real thought behind that. And there's got to be a very specific reason. But even in the Valley, they had hinted at numerous times that Brittany kept that family afloat with her Jenny Craig sponsorship, I believe. And what I mean, you can't come after Jax's cameo money, right? Which, by the way, a couple weeks ago, remember when we did the story that Brittany came out in an Instagram story and said that Jax made up that he had donated any of that money to cancer research, like he said in his cameo video? Whoo, damn. Anyways, TMZ initially broke the story that Jax decided he needed inpatient treatment. I was told that it wasn't that he decided he needed. I was told that production strongly made him go to inpatient treatment if he wanted to remain on the show. Brittany and Jax started dating way back in 2015. They got engaged in June 2018 at Neptune's Net in Malibu. You guys remember that photo with the Jax just beaming and the wedding ring. And then Brittany came back and was like, I got engaged. I'm a fiance. And then in June 2019, they tied the knot at the Kentucky Castle in Versailles, Kentucky. And we saw the entire wedding. I mean, there was way too many episodes on Vanderpump Rules that season. But listen, this is overall very sad, no matter how you want to cut it. But I know that this is the best move possible for Brittany. I mean, truly. And I've said this many times, I bet what I would imagine happened is that they separated and she found out more and more information about Jax and potential things that he had going on the side that he was probably not honest with her about. And that probably was another nail in the coffin, because I think we even said is that I thought she would keep committing to this relationship again and again. And I think she deserves and wanted to be loved a certain way. And Jax was not providing that for her. But she, you saw it on the Valley. She really hoped. Now, of course, it takes two to tango in any relationship. Even with Jax, it takes two to tango, because you're either sometimes the aggressor or you're also the person that kind of, what is that word when you just, you're like a willful participant in a way. And I don't want to sound cold or unfeeling, but there are elements where, Brittany at that point knew who Jax was. And we had, season after season of evidence on who Jax was. And that's not to say that Jax doesn't truly have mental health issues, because I think without a shadow of a doubt, he does. I'm going back and like going through the first season of Vanderpump Rules, and you can even see it then, but he was younger then and he had kind of everything. The world was like opening up to him in certain ways. Like he had gotten by on really amazing looks and charm. And then you throw like TV fame on top of that. I mean, he was riding high. Now, Brittany, of course, when they got together, it was in Vegas, right? Listen, she always said she didn't watch Vanderpump Rules, but I mean, I think she was aware that he was on television. Now, I don't think she necessarily targeted Jax, but I think there is something alluring for somebody from a small town. We've talked about this many times, how important TV is. Is like these people are gods. And I think not that she didn't have a great life. She obviously has a very loving family, but there is something so exciting to be out here in Hollywood, or to imagine being out here in Hollywood and having all of your friends see you on TV and this kind of lifestyle. But that's why we always say, be careful what you wish for, because you can wind up like this. What? Brittany's on TV, but she's probably miserable because of this situation. She got put through hell. And Jax doesn't know which end is up, and he's never done the hard work, or it's never appeared that he's done the hard work. And that's why, even with all the horrible shit Jax has done, man, I hope that he's going to be okay. I hope that he actually puts in the hard work and doesn't just talk about mental health, but actually does something about it. It takes this opportunity. Now, I also think that Jax, for better or worse, has checked out of this relationship for a while. right? I think he was completely checked out. And I said, my speculated before, I said, what was one of the reasons why he went on this show so the show could do the breaking up with Brittany for him, or he could force Brittany's hand because he was too lazy to do it. Because I think Jax was continuing on with other relationships potentially, and especially after they got separated. And I think he was not attracted to Brittany. I think he told her that. I think we saw it on the Valley. We saw him come down on her about the drinking, about everything, about how she looks. And those are the conversations we saw on screen. Imagine the ones that we didn't see. It was so obvious that he was completely checked out. But I think Jax is a very interesting character, and there's like an element of a middle class Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. And I don't mean that he's like a serial killer, but there's this detachment where sometimes you feel like Jax is a mask. And I know this is getting way too deep with this, that it's a mask, and he just puts on he'll say what you want to hear. He'll do what you want him to do, but he can only go so far with it until you can see that he's like really miserable. And dude, this guy has tons of friends still. So there's elements that have to be good about Jax. There just has to be. We just might not be able to see those elements, but I think that Jax is going to listen at some point. You do wake up and regret these things, and you do regret. And I would imagine it'll come in his 50s or his 60s is that, wow, at one brief moment, he had it all. And even though he wasn't happy in those moments, he will then rewrite history and say, oh my God, I was the happiest in those moments. But hopefully, if he does the hard work, he can actually become finally a better person and not just a work in progress. And sometimes we do this with women in particular, is they end up doing the hard work. They end up taking care of themselves. Like Brittany is going through a lot of pain right now. And by the way, this is all speculation, you guys. Brittany is going through a lot of pain right now, but I believe she will do the work and she will have a quicker upswing than Jax. And you see, she has such a great, strong, supportive group. I mean, Doute's behind her, Janet's behind her. I think those all people are like Team Brittany. But sometimes it doesn't even matter like what team at a certain point because it just all feels sad and bad. And they have this 3-year-old son, Cruz, who we saw. They opened up about his learning. Was it a learning disability or developmental disability? And that he wasn't very verbal. And you've got to imagine that this kid has picked up on a lot of tension, which I know would probably break Brittany's heart. So I think, just how we saw with Michelle and Jesse Lally in season 1 of The Valley, we're probably going to see similar things too, where this will be better for both of them. What I do find interesting, though, is that we're on the tail end of The Valley season 2 filming. I mean, it should be wrapping any week. Now, I did further speculate today is that I almost think that, especially if Vanderpump Rules does not have a start date, and I don't believe they do, is that I could see a world in which they film The Valley season 2 and The Valley season 3 very close together, especially because Jax has been MIA a lot of this season. And, so we can't get a redemption season for Jax, nor does he probably deserve it. So that's going to happen probably in the 3rd season. So at this point, we're going to want to have eyes on Jax. And hopefully he's not going to bullshit us. Hopefully he's not going to be, scream therapy like Tom Sandoval or get back with his old Reiki therapist. And hopefully he can be really honest about these things. But Jax has not been able to do that yet. Now, TMZ had another article. This was at 4:32 p.m. The headline reads, Vanderpump Brittany Cartwright filed for divorce. Now time to drink. And they have these awful paparazzi photos of a booze delivery. It looks like like a bottle of tequila or something delivering to Brittany's door. It looks like she's in a swimsuit potentially. And I believe this is at their house. And they got a good shot of her with this bottle of booze, which you can already hear probably Jax yelling of like, see, she's screwing up her booze again. She needs to be in the kitchen cooking with the other ladies. Come on. And then also we got a Instagram post from Brittany this afternoon where she is all done up in this like pink little number. Her hair's all done up. Her makeup's all on point. And it says, getting my sparkle back. I'm getting my sparkle back. And I think that's great. The hard thing is, though, think about when we break up with people or are broken up with, is that, some of the same rules apply, but you add reality television and influencer behavior on top of it. Is that the same day she files for divorce, she posts this like on point, snapshot of her looking like tip top. And I think that's probably good for her confidence. But at the end of the day, I mean, you know, I mean, it's good because I think she needs as much support as possible behind her. But I don't know. I also think it's okay to not post during these times and to actually go through these things, especially when you're already on TV. But I thought that was interesting. And now there was another article I wanted to read, and this time this was from the Daily Mail. Let me find this. This was actually from page 6. And it says Jax Taylor is reportedly, quote, feeling mixed emotions about Brittany Cartwright's divorce filing. He knows this is ultimately the right decision, but is sad that things ended up the way they have, an insider told People on Tuesday. It's probably like Lala. It's been an emotional month for him, and he's trying to stay strong for his son. The source also acknowledged that Cartwright felt filing to end their marriage was something she knew she had to do for the best interest of herself and her son. And we have a pic of Jax. I don't know if this is a recent pic or not. Um, so I'm not sure if this is a recent pic. There's a lot that has transpired over the past few months that she could not look past, the source added. This decision wasn't made lightly, but she feels adamant that it was the right one. Page 6 did not immediately hear back from reps for Cartwright or Taylor regarding the report. Cartwright, 35, filed for divorce on Tuesday, just over 5 months after she announced she and Taylor, 45, were, quote, taking time apart to reevaluate their friendship. Wait, who gets custody of the podcast? What, what, what's going on? Hey, Brittany, I will start a new podcast with you. It's me and you. I'll start a new podcast with you, and we'll kill it. We'll go back. We'll look at old episodes. It'll be great. I know exactly how to do it. No, I mean, this is obviously the other part of this with the filing. I really want people to stay away. And I know a lot of you guys are not like this that listen or watch, is that, we're so conspiratorial of like, this is just for the show. This is just for the cameras. Two things can be true at once. This is absolutely 100% true. Like, I remember when the initial separation first happened, and I thought it was like, come on, you guys, you have a show about to come out. Of course, you're doing this to get publicity for the show. And I was told from a very good source that no, this is very, very true. And I was like, okay, now really, it is hard to believe a lot of these Vanderpumpers, but I kind of believe that, and especially after watching The Valley. Now, I do believe that this is all real, all true, but the filing of the divorce, I think, also is something that will be obviously a storyline. Is that I would imagine we will see cameras after after the filing, or maybe they even followed her to the filing, because this writes itself into a reality show. Their relationship is the show. I mean, and you can already see like a very special episode of The Valley. I mean, you can just see it all out there. So, yeah. I mean, who would have thought? And that's the funny thing too, because we spent so much time, you guys, over the years, because we're little assholes, and we said this relationship will never work. They're never going to stay together. Well, we were all right, you know? We were all right, but I still was kind of surprised. And anybody splitting up, it always kind of makes me sad unless there's been physical abuse. I mean, emotional abuse, obviously very real as well. But I just thought they were, I don't want to be mean. I don't know. I just thought she co-signed so much of his behavior that I thought she was just going to stick there. I thought it was like a barnacle relationship where they were just going to be attached for better or worse. And remember, Jackson the Valley said, we don't even know the word divorce. That word doesn't exist in my family. It completely exists. And as somebody with my own mental health issues and somebody that does now go to therapy, and it sucks. It sucks looking at any of your past behavior, but I hope at this point, for Jax's sake, I hope he makes amends with his mother, who he still doesn't talk to. I hope he makes a lot of amends. And I just think that sometimes, like I said initially, when he checked himself into a mental health facility, is that no matter if you hate him or love him, you've got to understand that sometimes you can't he has free will and all of his choices are his own fault. But his general depression and how he feels, and he probably feels very void of joy a lot of the times, is that that can be brain chemistry. That's something that you're sometimes born with. It's just like a heavy load that you have to lift for your life. And a lot of people that will go completely untreated and unchecked. And it just, you kind of wonder, why don't I feel like other people feel? And you feel just like, what is wrong with me? Now, it's not all boo-hoo because Jax has made all of these decisions to cause all of these things. And I think, a lot of people, I saw commentary online saying, oh my God, oh, he's going to be flipping, screwing a 23-year-old influencer. Yeah, probably. He's probably already hooked up with a bunch of people. Yes, all of that. Yes, yes, yes. And where you really feel bad for him is you're like, you hope that the person that's not leading the way for him to get better is Tom Sandoval. Like, what's up, dude? Dude, I know everything to get you better, dude. We're gonna go to Vegas, dude, and there's like a big machine and it like smashes cars, dude. Like a big monster machine, dude. That's gonna get you tip top, dude. Yeah. Now, in the So Bad It's Good Facebook group, I asked some of the people in there what they thought of this, and here are some of their comments. Jessica says, "I can hear him now. How could she do this to me and our family?" Oh, I can completely see that, Jessica. Of course. And that's what I'm hoping that he's actually has coping skills, or that's what he's learning in this facility or out of the facility is how not to blame your own decisions on other people. Christina Byington said, "How could she do this to me?" Question mark. A famous Luann. Anna Davis says, in the disrespectfully words of Katie Maloney, I'm not a fan of Jax Taylor. Hell yeah, Anna. Linda Marie says, as Lizzo once said, it's about damn time. Rebecca says, he has to be so happy she did his dirty work. Also, I want to know what happened January 21st. That's the date of separation. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. Rebecca, sadly, we already went through my camera roll. So I'm going to find out more information for you about that because I know there's something I'm forgetting. Kristen says, I hope they're still filming. I can only imagine his tantrum finding out she's really going through with it. Oh, Kristen, they are. Heather says, shocked that she did it. Really proud of her. Nicole says, dismayed to hear Jax is back on the market. Yeah, by the way, hide your women and children. Jax is on the loose. Kentucky Muffin was doing us all a service by keeping him legally bound to her. Woo, Nicole. Ashley says, not looking forward to the victim speeches and how much of a work in progress he still is. That's the famous Jax Taylor. I'm a work in progress. Aaron says, what finally made her do this now, even after hanging out with the other ladies earlier this year? Not long enough in treatment is what I'm just wondering, but happy she finally did it. You go, girl. Now, what I think it is, I think she found out other information about certain behaviors that he was going on. I think there were other things and potentially other people involved. Nicole says, is it just the angle or does his head look photoshopped onto his body? It's like two sizes. Oh, because I made this silly Ben Affleck meme of the smoking cigarette meme, and I put Jax's face on it, and poor Nicole doesn't realize that it's photoshopped. Sorry, Nicole. Angela says, I typically hate to see a family break apart. I'm with you on that, Angela, but we have only been shown the tip of the iceberg. I cannot imagine how much worse it was for Brittany and Cruz when the cameras weren't on. I'm so happy for Brittany and Cruz. I hope this actually pushes Jax to get real help because 3 weeks ain't it. I agree with you, Angela. So she's referring to the 3 weeks he was in that mental health facility. If you have the means to do something like a facility, obviously it's very expensive. Raquel, or the artist formerly known as Raquel Levis, she was in one for a couple of months and said how much that kind of service costs, but it's really worth investing in if you're Jax. Stephanie says he's rotten. He's rotten. So just as well, sad for their child. Soma says it's going to be the trashiest divorce party ever. Oh my God. I can already see it. They're probably filming it tonight. They truly probably are filming it tonight. Amy says it makes sense. Susie says if it makes her happy, go for it. Rosemary says you sow what you reap. Karma's a bitch. He had every opportunity to grow up, but I think he can't. Paige says she lived a few months in peace and realized it's what has been missing in her life. Jax has caused so many problems for others. Straight up narcissist. He will never change, but he sure will try to lie that he did. I think that's a really, really interesting comment from Paige. I think there's a lot of truth in that. And that's why I keep saying I hope he fights against his natural instincts to just tell people what they want to hear instead of just being honest and saying, I don't know why I do the shit I do. I'm not happy. Gosha says, if I combine Reiki and screaming sessions, that will definitely fix my brain. That's what I think is going to happen. Christy says, I can't wait to hear what finally made her have enough. She's already put up with so much. Must have been really bad. I agree. Rachel says, here's my opinion based on what Jax has taught me. I truly believe he doesn't mind this divorce. What he minds is what it will cost him financially. In my honest opinion, he heard that Brittany was serious about the divorce, and that is the only reason he checked himself in somewhere. I don't believe that Brittany is the kind of person that kicks someone when they are truly down and in need of help. She probably knew that he was using this as a deflection or for some sympathy. I actually hope he did take something like checking himself in seriously. But again, Jax has taught me a lot about himself. I mean, you nailed it right there. And if we saw the Valley season finale, Brittany knew every one of his moves, called him out like that. Oh, you just called the therapist yesterday because you knew we were filming today, Jax. And I think, yeah, that's dead on. And I also don't think Brittany is somebody, and I think two things can be true at once. Like I said earlier, is that I think Brittany can love and care for Jax and also realize it is not at this point good for her to ever be with him again. Isabel says, just in time for filming. What a coincidence. Melody says there's three sides to everything. Her side, his side, and the truth. Very important to remember as well. Lisa says, think the joint pot is over. Yeah. When reality hits with Jax and Brittany is no longer. Listen, if they can't make the relationship work, but they can make the podcast work, wow. Joey says, love it. Kat says, baby, why your head so big? Because of that meme. Oh my God. I feel so bad sometimes when people don't understand how truly idiotic I am when I post things. And I made that myself. Maritza makes like the beautiful images, like the show images. I can slap a face on another body, but I'll always make it disproportionate. It's real sloppy work because I do it on my phone. But that's an artist, you guys. That's an artist. I just finished this book on Keith Haring, who started off kind of as a graffiti artist or a tagger, and you see his work everywhere now. He tragically died in 1990, I believe, and I finished this really brilliant biography on him. I've been reading so many great biographies of like really great people. Just people that actually did something with their lives, like Stanley Kubrick or Keith Haring, and I don't even know where that was headed, except that I wanted you guys to know that I can read. No. Oh, that was it in terms of making images. I think that's what it was, just that, man, it'd be so amazing to be actually able to be a real artist. So that's it. That's all we have now. But this will be a continuing story on So Bad It's Good. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more stuff that comes out, but at the same time, it's not shocking to me like Sandoval was shocking. So it's going to be different vibes across the board because I think at the end of the day, not a lot of people, and this is sad, really truly believed in their relationship because they didn't believe in Jax to begin with. And that's probably part of the bad thing about being on reality television for so long is that we know all your bullshit. We know all your moves. We've seen it time and time again. So hope he's getting the help that he needs. And I'm really happy for Brittany. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for her. And at the end of the day, I hope we all get along. I hope we're all happy. As my dad says, no hate. Now, moving on to the second part of this episode, we're going to be talking about the Tom Girardi conviction today, convicted on 4 counts of wire fraud for $15 million. Now, Ronald Richards is a lawyer. He's been on this show a couple of times, and he was directly involved with the Tom Girardi, the estate, the Erica Jane. And he is, I don't know, Mr. Richards makes me laugh some ways and sometimes because he's just so direct. And he's just out there to get the job done. He's like, no, I'm doing this for my client. I want to get this money. I want to sell these Erica Jane earrings so we can get the money, the trustee, all of this stuff. but it is very, I mean, I would never want to go up against Ronald Richards. So I got him on the horn today, and he talked with us about this conviction with Tom Girardi. And as you'll hear in this interview, he just says one of the dumbest moves that Tom Girardi could have done is take the stand. Is that he was responsible for his own conviction. If he had leaned into his diagnosis of dementia and not doing very well, which I believe he is not doing very well. He does not look well. I think he's said a lot of troubling things in that courtroom, but he took the stand, and he was also cognizant enough and still kind of pulling certain lawyerly moves that I think he really poisoned that jury against him. When if he didn't take the stand, and this is really interesting because I've now watched two Scott Peterson docuseries in the last 2 weeks. I watched the one on Netflix that was really geared towards Lacey Peterson, and the tragic loss of her life and her son's life, Connor. And then I watched the one on Peacock, which we finished tonight, which was 3 episodes. And that is our first interview of like a jailhouse interview, a really kind of grainy one, just through the prison cam of Scott Peterson 20 plus years later after he was convicted for the murder of Lacey and his son. And Peacock, I mean, listen, Peacock, they be wild. They be wilding out over there at Peacock because they're like the, hey, Netflix is going to give you the show that like kind of like celebrates the victim. And Peacock's always like, what if we didn't? What if we threw caution into the wind and threw doubt and said maybe Scott Peterson didn't do it? Now, there has been a lot of steam on Scott Peterson not having committed this crime, and they give a lot of information on why they possibly think this. The LA Innocence Project took on his case in the last couple of years. And I'm going to do, I believe, a whole episode about this because I really do want to talk. I mean, true crime does fascinate me, and I would love to talk about this story, but it also just shows you in watching both of these, the legal system and how many like maneuvers that you can make to either get somebody off. I mean, think about OJ Simpson. Think about so many cases where you just have to suppress the right evidence. You have to suppress that. You have to make sure you're telling a story. And defense attorneys, it just sometimes sickens me to hear defense attorneys because it just feels so greasy sometimes and so slimy. I don't know if you guys have watched any of that Scott Peterson stuff, and some of you guys might have doubt. I did not have, and I know Sandra, who I work with, is very curious about this case, and I think she has a little bit of doubt. I still have no doubt. And I want to do an episode because I want to go into why I really truly believe that this man still did it. But that'll be for another episode. I mean, Scott Peterson, very much like Jax Taylor, not in the sense that Jax Taylor would murder somebody, but I think there is a similar way in which they lie. And Tom Sandoval, you could throw that on there as well. But the whole point was the court systems and the courts, it just blows me away. And when you talk to Mr. Richards, you realize even, I don't want to say, because I know he doesn't consider it a game, but it feels like a game. Like at one point, he had a very contentious relationship with Erica Jane, and they were going back and forth in social media posts about each other. And he mentions, like towards the end of the interview, he's like, listen, if I saw Erica Jane out and about, I'd give her a hug. I mean, he's like a light hug, but like, there's no hard feelings. We're trying to right a wrong here. And I just think it's interesting, in terms of the tactics you use to get the justice that you desire. And, 85 years old, Tom Girardi is actually going to be facing another trial in Chicago that's coming up very soon as well, which he will probably be found guilty of as well. And this is a man that will be going to prison. There's a lot of things, as you'll hear Mr. Richards talk about, in terms of there can be compassionate addendums to this where he might be able to serve not in prison. There's a lot of things, but obviously this man is not doing well. I think even though he committed these crimes, and I believe at the time he did not have the dementia that he does now, so he's definitely guilty. I don't have a lot of sympathy for him in that sense, but there is a sense of like putting this man in prison when it just costs U.S. taxpayers so much more to care for somebody this, you know, this out of it in a sense. So it's a really interesting case because it's all about the victims and at the same time, this man who was a titan in the law industry, Tom Girardi, a titan. It did so much good. Aaron Brockovich was his first case where he won this huge settlement. That was his firm. Girardi Keese did so much good. And then he met Erica Jane. No, I mean, it's not Erica Jane, but like just that lifestyle that you're wanting to live. And what do you end up with when you do all of this bad? You wind up sometimes with nothing. It's like a really sad, brutal lesson because Erica Jane wasn't there on any day of this 13-day trial. She was never there to support him. She was never there. And I think that that is probably one of the biggest lessons for everybody out there is, I mean, don't do any of this shit, you guys. So anyways, here he is. He's been on this podcast a couple of times, but it's been a couple of years since the last time, because last time we were on, we were talking about the diamond earrings that he was really pushing for Erica Jane to give back, which was also a storyline on Beverly Hills a couple of seasons ago. So we catch up with that. We catch up with him. And yeah, here he is, the one, the only Mr. Ronald Richards.